Major gold dealers are now quoting 4 to 6 week delivery times for allocated bars. London vaults are reporting capacity constraints for the first time in decades. Paper gold trades instantly. Physical gold takes 6 weeks. That spread is the early warning system for a market break that will destroy wealth for millions of investors who think they own gold but don't. If you want to understand the difference between owning assets and owning claims on assets, subscribe now before the lesson costs you everything. Here's what's happening right now in the gold market that almost nobody understands. When you buy gold through an ETF like GLD, IAU, or SQL, you receive shares representing fractional ownership of gold supposedly held in a vault somewhere. You don't own specific bars, you don't have serial numbers, you don't have possession. You own a claim on a pool of gold that you can't inspect, can't audit, and can't take delivery of without converting shares back to cash and buying physical separately. When you buy allocated physical gold, specific bars or coins with your name on them, stored in a vault where you can visit and verify, you own actual metal. For years, these two forms of ownership traded at basically the same price. The ETF price tracked the spot price. Physical premiums were minimal, maybe 1 to 2% over spot for coins, essentially nothing for large bars. Paper gold and physical gold were functionally interchangeable. Not anymore. Right now, if you try to buy large quantities of allocated physical gold from major dealers, Bullion Vault, Kitco, Gold Money, even traditional bullion banks, you're being quoted delivery times of 4-6 weeks. 6 weeks, for an asset that's supposed to be the most liquid, most immediately available store of value in human history. Why? Because vaults are full, refineries are backlogged, transport logistics are constrained, and the physical metal available for immediate delivery is dwindling. Meanwhile, paper gold contracts trade millions of ounces per day with instant settlement in cash. GLD trades $500 million in daily volume you can buy and sell instantly at the click of a button. This is not a temporary supply chain disruption like we saw during COVID. This is the early stage of a permanent two-tier market forming where paper claims and physical metal are no longer the same thing. Let me explain the mechanics of how the global gold market actually works, because this is critical to understanding what's breaking. The global gold market operates on a fractional reserve system, exactly like banking. Most gold owned by investors is not physically allocated to them. It's pooled, leased, rehypothecated, and used as collateral for multiple claims simultaneously. A single physical bar sitting in a London vault might back 10, 20, or even 50 different paper claims. This works perfectly as long as not everyone asks for physical delivery at the same time. It's the same mechanism that allows banks to operate. They hold 10% reserves and lend out the other 90%. Betting that not all depositors will withdraw simultaneously. But what happens when demand for physical delivery increases beyond the system's capacity to deliver? Refineries can only produce so much metal per month. The logistics of transporting, assaying, and allocating bars takes time. Vault space is finite, so delivery delays start appearing. First, it's 1 week, then 2, then 4, now 6. And as delays lengthen, buyers who need immediate delivery start paying premiums. In some markets, particularly India, China, and the Middle East, physical gold already trades at a 2 to 3% premium over the London spot price. That premium is the market pricing in scarcity and delivery risk. And it's widening. In early February 2026, the premium for immediate delivery of 1 kilo bars in Singapore hit 3.5% over spot. That's the highest premium in 5 years. The premium for gold eagles and maples in the U.S. retail market is running 6 to 8% over spot, versus a historical average of 2 to 3%. These premiums are signals. The market is telling you that physical gold is becoming scarce relative to paper claims. Now layer in what's happening at the institutional level, because this is what's really driving the physical shortage. Central banks are buying physical gold, taking delivery, and storing it in sovereign vaults. They are not buying ETF shares. They're not buying unallocated accounts. They're buying physical bars with serial numbers and moving them into vaults in Beijing, Moscow, Delhi, Ankara, and Abu Dhabi. 200 tons purchased in Q4 2025 alone, as we covered in video 1. Each of those tons is 32,150 troy ounces. 200 tons, 38.6 million ounces removed from the tradable float in 3 months. Sovereign wealth funds are doing the same thing. Norway's fund, Abu Dhabi's ADIA, Singapore's GIC, They're moving from unallocated gold exposure to allocated segregated physical bars. High net worth individuals and family offices are converting paper gold positions into physical allocated storage. They're calling their wealth managers and saying, I don't want shares in a gold ETF. I want bars with my name on them in a vault I can visit. Each of these flows removes gold from the pool available for delivery against paper claims. And once gold moves into a central bank vault or a private allocated account, it almost never comes back to market. Central banks don't trade. They accumulate and hold for decades. Sovereign wealth funds don't flip positions for quarterly gains. They hold for generations. Wealthy families don't sell their allocated gold unless they're facing genuine financial distress. So the available float, the actual physical metal that can be bought and delivered quickly, is shrinking, while paper gold issuance continues expanding, backed by the same shrinking physical base. The ratio of paper claims to deliverable physical metal is increasing every month. This has happened before, and the parallel is exact. In the 1960s, the London Gold Pool was created by the United States and 7 other nations to suppress the gold price and maintain the 35 per ounce peg that anchored the Bretton Woods monetary system. Central banks sold physical gold into the market whenever private demand pushed prices higher. The system appeared stable. Economists declared gold obsolete. It worked for 7 years. Then reality arrived. Private demand for physical gold was overwhelming the pool's ability to supply metal. France under Charles de Gaulle was demanding delivery of physical gold in exchange for dollars, not trusting paper promises about dollar stability. German citizens, remembering the Weimar hyperinflation, were buying gold coins and bars. Swiss banks were facilitating massive gold purchases for wealthy international clients. The flow was relentless. Thousands of tons were leaving American and British vaults. By March 1968, the pool collapsed. Central banks stopped defending the price. The two-tier market was born. Official gold stayed at $35 for central bank transactions. Private market gold traded at whatever price physical buyers would pay. Within days, the private market premium was 10%. Within months, it was 20%. 3 years later, Nixon closed the gold window entirely, admitting that the U.S. didn't have enough physical gold to back the dollars in circulation. The parallel to today is unmistakable. Right now, the paper gold market maintains a stable price around $2,800. Futures contracts trade smoothly. ETFs track the spot price. But underneath, physical delivery is stressed, premiums are appearing, delays are lengthening, vault capacity is tightening. We are in the 1965-1968 phase before the break becomes visible to everyone. The smart money is demanding physical delivery now, before the system can no longer deliver. Here's the irreversible dynamic that's already in motion. Once delivery delays reach a certain threshold, institutional buyers lose confidence in the paper market's ability to deliver physical metal when needed. When they lose confidence, they demand physical settlement up front instead of accepting paper promises. When everyone demands physical settlement simultaneously, the fractional reserve system collapses because there simply is not enough physical gold to satisfy all the paper claims at once. Let me give you the numbers to make this concrete. The COMEX, the major futures exchange where gold contracts trade, has about 20 million ounces of registered gold available for delivery against contracts. But the total open interest in COMEX gold futures represents over 500 million ounces. That's a 25.1 ratio of paper claims to deliverable physical. GLD, the largest gold ETF, holds approximately 26 million ounces. But if every GLD shareholder tried to redeem for physical gold, the redemption process would take months, and the fund would have to source additional metal from the market. At current delivery timelines, that would be impossible without spiking the price dramatically. The system is built on the assumption that most participants will accept cash settlement, will hold paper, will never actually ask for the metal, but that assumption is breaking. Central banks won't accept cash settlement. They want the bars. Sovereign wealth funds won't hold paper in a crisis. They demand physical. Wealthy individuals who've studied monetary history know that in a real crisis, paper claims get haircut or settled in devalued currency, while physical metal holders keep full value. And as more capital flows into physical-only positions, the available metal disappears, delivery times extend exponentially, and premiums widen into a chasm. At some point, and we're approaching it, the paper price and physical price fully decouple. Paper gold might trade at $3,000 while you can't actually buy deliverable physical for less than $3,500 or $4,000. When that happens, ETFs will trade at discounts to net asset value because investors realize they can't actually get the metal. Futures contracts will settle in cash because the exchanges don't have enough physical to deliver against all contracts, and the price of real, deliverable, allocated gold will spike to levels that seem absurd by today's standards. So what does this mean for you specifically and immediately? If you own gold ETFs, GLD, IAU, SGOL, any of them, you do not own gold. You own shares in a trust that owns pooled, unallocated metal that might not be deliverable if you ever actually need it. That's not fear-mongering. That's the legal structure of those products. Read the prospectus. The fine print says the fund can settle redemptions in cash at the trustee's discretion during unusual market conditions. Guess what qualifies as unusual market conditions? A physical delivery crisis. If you own unallocated gold at a bank or broker, where you have a claim on a pool rather than specific bars, you're in the same position. In a crisis, your claim might settle in cash at a price determined by the paper market, not the physical scarcity premium. If you own allocated, physically segregated gold stored in a vault with your name on specific bars that you can verify and take delivery of, you own gold. The difference matters enormously. Right now, while physical metal is still available, you can convert paper claims to physical ownership. It will cost slightly more. Premiums are 3 to 8% depending on form. Delivery will take 4 to 6 weeks, but you can do it. In 6 months, in a year, when the paper-physical divergence becomes obvious to institutional capital and retail investors simultaneously, you might not be able to convert. You'll be stuck holding a paper claim that settles for cash at the paper price of $3,000, while physical gold trades at $4,500 and isn't available at any price for immediate delivery, and the opportunity to convert will be permanently gone. Let's talk about what the most sophisticated players in the market are doing right now. Central banks exclusively buy physical. Zero exposure to ETFs or unallocated positions. Zero. They contract directly with refiners, take delivery of London good delivery bars, transport them under armed guard, and store them in sovereign vaults that foreign governments cannot access. They verify weight, purity, and serial numbers. They maintain detailed inventories. They never, ever rely on paper claims. Billionaire family offices are making the same move, from paper to allocated physical, not because they're worried about ETF fraud or conspiracy theories, because they understand the mathematical reality of fractional reserve structures under stress. When the ratio of claims to physical metal is 25.1, somebody's not getting their gold, and it won't be the people who already have it in allocated storage. Even some hedge funds, not typically known for conservative positioning, are demanding physical delivery on futures contracts instead of rolling positions or accepting cash settlement. This is highly unusual behavior. Taking physical delivery of gold futures is expensive and logistically complex. You have to arrange transport, storage, insurance. Most traders never do it, but sophisticated funds are doing it now because they believe physical gold will trade at a massive premium to paper gold within 12-24 months. They're willing to pay the logistical cost today to lock in physical possession before the premium appears. This is not normal market behavior. This is preparation for a system break. And the institutions with the most information, the longest time horizons, and the most at stake are all making the same move, from paper to physical, from claims to possession, from trust to verification. Here's the moment of absolute clarity. Gold is valuable because it's scarce and can't be printed, but paper gold can be printed. Futures contracts can be created with a keystroke. ETF shares can be issued without limit. There is no natural constraint on the number of paper claims that can exist. There is a very real, very hard constraint on the amount of physical metal. Annual mine production is about 3,000 tons. Total above-ground stock is approximately 200,000 tons. That sounds like a lot until you realize how much of it is already locked away. Central banks hold 35,000 tons and are buying more. Jewelry accounts for 90,000 tons, most of which never comes back to market. Industrial uses consume 10% of annual supply, and that gold is lost forever in electronics. The actual investable float, gold available for purchase by investors, is much smaller than the total stock suggests. And right now, the number of paper claims on that float vastly exceeds the physical available to deliver. That divergence will resolve. It always does. Not through gradual adjustment where prices slowly converge. through violent repricing where paper claim holders discover their claims are worth substantially less than they thought, and physical metal holders discover their metal is worth substantially more than the spot price suggested. The transition from one reality to the other happens in days, not years. March 1968, London gold pool functioning normally. March 15th, 1968, pool collapses, two-tier market emerges, premiums spike to 10-20% overnight. That's how fast these breaks happen. And we're seeing all the same warning signs now that preceded that break then. Here's your action plan, step by step. If you currently own gold through ETFs or unallocated accounts, you need to make a decision. Are you holding gold as a trading position for short-term price exposure? Then ETFs might be fine for that purpose. Or are you holding gold as wealth preservation, as insurance against monetary system failure, as a position you intend to hold through a crisis? If it's the latter, you need physical. Period. Here's how you convert. Step 1. Calculate how much of your portfolio should be in gold. Standard recommendation: 10-15% of liquid net worth for conservative investors, up to 25% if you're seriously concerned about monetary system risk. Step 2. Choose your form. For amounts under $50,000, buy recognized coins, American Eagles, Canadian Maples, Austrian Philharmonics, and store them yourself in a safe or safety deposit box. For amounts $50,000, $500,000, buy a mix of coins in small bars, 100 Ri, 1 Oz, 10 odd Oz. Consider allocated vault storage through Bullion Vault, Gold Money, or similar services where you own specific bars. For amounts over $500,000, buy larger bars, 1 kilo, 400's good delivery bars. Definitely use allocated professional vault storage in stable jurisdictions, Switzerland, Singapore, Canada. Step 3. Verify everything. If using allocated storage, get serial numbers for your bars, get regular statements, understand the fee structure, know how to take physical delivery if you ever need to. If storing yourself, get proper insurance. Don't tell people you have it. Consider geographic diversification if you have significant amounts. Step 4. Accept the costs. Premiums right now are 3 to 8% over spot depending on form and dealer. That's the price of actual ownership versus paper claims. Delivery times are 4 to 6 weeks. That's the reality of physical logistics versus instant electronic settlement. Storage costs money if you use vaults. That's the price of security and verification. These costs are worth paying to own the actual asset rather than a promise to deliver the asset later at a price determined by a system in crisis. 6-week delivery delays on an asset that supposedly trades millions of ounces on paper every single day. The gap between claim and possession is widening. London vaults are reporting capacity constraints. Premiums for immediate physical delivery are at 5-year highs. The fractional reserve structure is showing stress, and history is very, very clear about what happens next. 1968. London gold pool collapses when physical demand exceeds available supply. Two-tier market emerges overnight. The people holding paper claims get the paper price. The people holding physical metal get the physical premium. The difference between the two is life-changing wealth for some, life-changing loss for others. Right now, you can still get physical gold if you're willing to wait 4-6 weeks and pay a 3-8% premium. That premium is the market telling you that physical is worth more than paper. That delivery delay is the market telling you that supply is constrained. In 6 months, the premium might be 20%. The delivery delay might be 6 months. Or physical might not be available at any price for retail buyers. The question is whether you'll convert from paper to physical while you still can, or whether you'll discover the difference between owning gold and owning a claim on gold when the system breaks and one of them is worth far less than you thought. The warning signs are here. The smart money is moving, the delivery infrastructure is stressed. The only question is whether you'll act on that information before everyone else figures it out, because once everyone figures it out, the conversion opportunity is gone, and you'll be holding paper while others hold metal. Choose wisely.